Hello, welcome to another UTS Startups Confessions. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you very much. My favorite part of the week, and the interview that follows is my favorite part of the week after that, because everything we do in UTS Startups is about sharing capability. And it relies on having really good people with interesting capabilities that then can help each other out. And Sean, your capability is incredible. And I think as an example of the kind of people that you can find here and benefit from, I can't think of a better example, and you'll figure out why in a second. But thank you for joining and sharing your story today.
Thank you, Murray.
So tell me, who were you before Platformity?
Before Platformity, I got into startups about 15 years ago. Started out as an admin assistant working for a payment startup that sold off a few years later. I worked my way up from admin to running implementations to running support, and then got hooked and decided this was what I wanted to do with my life. So I spent 15 years building products and working in startups and running my own.
Okay, so yeah, there's a huge experience in startups. Now going into Platformity, so that was 2019 or so that you started there. And in 10 seconds, what is Platformity?
So Platformity builds Vizial, which is an edge compute and IoT platform. We deploy video AI at scale out in the real world, but in a way where the privacy is controlled. There's no video that leaves the site. It's all transformed into data at that point and then sent back to us.
Okay, because I can see literally like 6 security cameras in this room. UTS is a wonderfully secure place. But I know there's security people that watch all of those feeds and pay attention to what's going on. And people obviously have concerns about what happens to video feeds and how that gets interpreted. How does yours work and protect that kind of privacy?
Sure. So typically we'll install a box out at the edge. Like if we had a camera here in the room, for instance, there would be a computer here. The video stream goes to that computer. We have an AI running on that computer itself, and it will say, hey, there's 30 people in the room at the moment, and whatever else it's been trained to detect. And that data is all that leaves, is there is currently 30 people in the room, and nobody's lying on the ground in pain at the moment, or whatever it is that you train. And then our cloud system ingests quite a lot of data. There's mountains of data that come out of these things when we're detecting the number of bicycles and cars going across the road, or the number of people waiting for taxis at a taxi rank. There's a lot of data very regularly that comes through. So the art of processing all of that in real time, being able to generate insights and action out of the back of it, and do an end-to-end solution for the client where they don't have to stitch together 5 different products to make that work. That's kind of the problem that we solve. Okay,
that sounds fantastic. And I think I would feel differently about a security camera if I knew that walking past it, it was keeping me safer. You assume it is, but if I saw something saying this is being analyzed to check you're okay, that sounds nice. So tell me, how did this start? What kind of steps happened?
So we were lucky to start with a partnership with a managed service provider who already had some relationships, and we had a bit of an idea of where the gaps in the market were. So we built out the data platform and the product, and kind of fell into the edge compute space and the AI space when we started seeing how people wanted to gather the IoT data together. So that helped us get into important customers like Transport for New South Wales, where we've built out our solution.
Okay. So starting out with a decent sized contract and then allowing that to be developed based on that?
Well, most of the early stuff is proof of concepts. So what people don't necessarily realize is that video AI is getting easier to do by the day. 5-6 years ago, it would have been PhD level research to kind of deploy these AI models. But these days you hop onto AWS, you hop onto NVIDIA, you can get a basic model off the internet that can analyze video, and then you can do some transfer training, and hey presto, you've got something that can count the number of vehicles going past. Getting that onto 500 devices attached to 500 cameras, managing the configurations on all of those, managing what happens if one of those breaks and you have to roll out a new device, you have to replace it, doing the AI updates to 500 devices and the software upgrades, all of that becomes a bit of a challenge. So for our customers, they start off very small. 2, 3, 4 cameras. Let's just prove that the model works, that you can get business value, and then let's look at expanding out to 50 or then 500.
Okay, so that sounds like a tricky kind of growth pathway. For anyone watching at home with a security camera company, how do you grow this over a 4-year period?
So there's a couple different pieces. There's one, you have to make sure that you really work on your product and make sure that your existing clients are getting well served, which means pulling out all the stops, really developing the product even to the point of making a bit of a loss on the first ones, so that you can get into that expansion revenue. That's where it really comes from, is operating these things at scale. That's the problem we want to solve. That's the problem our clients have. Everything else is kind of the lead up to that of de-risking that business case for them. But that also means you need to get out there and get a lot of irons in the fire. You need to have a lot of proof of concepts and be proving things with people all the time, talking to people about the opportunities, because people don't necessarily know where you could apply this. So getting into that conversation early is the difficult part.
Do you find people are very protective of what goes onto their security cameras?
Yes, obviously. So the privacy stuff is obviously huge, but we design for that up front, that we're not sending data out of anything that's identifiable unless there's a very specific need for it. And when we do that, we do it in a very controlled way. So we're not really exposing any additional personal data to anybody normally. But regardless, you're on the network. We take our security very seriously. We can operate within the transport management center, within the network environment. We can plug into private networks and get the data out in a very controlled way.
Okay, but for government agencies, other people that you sold to, how do you get that trust? Is it just good people or something else?
Good people mostly. We've got a team of approaching 20 people now, most of whom are engineers. Our leads have decades of experience working with networks, network security and application security. So getting that right up front is the only way. You can't backwards engineer that afterwards.
Okay, so good product, good team, initial good customers, and now foot in the door that allows you to grow over time. What does everything look like today?
So as I said, we're close to 20 people. We've got a couple big flagship clients. We've got a bunch of other proof of concepts in the wings at the moment. We've got out near Mudgee, we have a completely off-grid trailer running on solar power that's detecting oversized vehicles, mining equipment on the back of a truck coming towards construction sites. So we can give them advanced warning that they need to make more room for this vehicle coming through. We're about to launch a proof of concept where we are measuring occupancy for car parks up in Queensland. So, how many people are currently in the car park? Should I drive to the next car park over? So we're putting more and more of these pieces out. We're also doing some IoT stuff. So air quality for schools, vape detection is a big hot topic at the moment. So we have a couple schools with vape detectors and air quality devices. We're ingesting that data in real time, triggering alerts. And I want to go beyond that of just detecting vape, but also, hey, the room is really stuffy, open a window.
Like I know some places, all right, UTS has a rule against dogs in spaces. And so anytime there's a dog detected by security, they send someone down and deal with it. That surely should be a computer problem.
Oh, absolutely.
I love dogs, but yeah.
That would be an incredibly easy deployment to do of, watch a bunch of video streams, detect a dog, send out a real-time alert to the security team and say, hey, there's a dog, here's where it is, here's where it's been.
Okay, and it must be nice to, once you have a deployment, add module after module of different things that can be detected or dealt with.
Yeah, I think a big thing for us is we often start with a use case around something that's of direct business value of we want to get an ROI on the cycleways, are people using them, but then adding on safety on top of that is I think a huge expansion point for us. Did somebody fall over in the middle of the road and crash their bike and they're not getting up? Is there a fight starting? That last one, I need to find somebody who can build me that AI model, but that would be an amazing kind of opportunity to say, hey, I've got a bunch of cameras next to taxi ranks. They're out the front of pubs. if I could detect that there was a fight happening out the front of the pub, I could do something about that. I think that would be an amazing opportunity.
Okay. So there must be people watching at home with big camera networks or who know people with big camera networks. Let's pause that for a second though. In say 5 years' time, what does Platformity look like and how can people help it get there?
As we expand our team, I think what we're really looking to do is kind of the next wave of expansion is initially we're looking to get into the US and some of our overseas markets where there's bigger customer bases. But from a product perspective, I think the real opportunity is we're using video AI, which is coming a long way out at the edge. I think there's a lot of opportunity to transform the rest of our product using some of the new AI technologies that are coming through. So, at the moment, if I want to deploy a lot of devices, the way that I make sure that my software is going to run on 500 devices is I say they've all got to be the same device so that I know that my deployment script is going to run the same way every time. But now you'll be able to get an AI agent who can take your software, take an example script, try to test it against the new device, figure out that, hey, the CUDA version is not up to date, so the app won't run. I'm going to go and build a script to deploy the latest CUDA version to this, and then I'm going to deploy my software, and then I'm going to continue my rollout. And being able to do that across numerous different devices at scale with AI is going to be a game changer. It's going to change the IT landscape fundamentally, and I think it's something that everybody should be thinking about what their business is going to look like a couple of years from now as this tech changes everything.
Okay, so no camera is safe. It's potentially anyone that cares about what their cameras can detect and cares about the people around them. What can people do to help realize that goal?
I think at the moment we're really looking for people who are trying to solve problems in their spaces around safety and compliance is obviously a big one, but utilization measurement, how many people are on a train or in the room or inside a car park, and also asset management. I think one of the areas we want to expand into very shortly is I've got a train, a taxi, a building. It's got a whole bunch of sensors in it that describe that building in some way. Being able to aggregate that data in a smart way by deploying our AI at the edge and saying, I've got 10 different sensors. They're all giving me readings once a minute, once every 30 seconds. How do I aggregate that, understand it all together, the sum of the parts, as well as individually, and do really smart decision making off the back of that? So people looking to solve these kind of problems, I'd love to have a chat. And also, if anybody's built a video AI model for detecting fights.
How do you train that model? That sounds like fun.
I'll leave that one up to the machine learning engineers. That's
right.
I've heard a few different theories about what the best way is, but it's the kind of thing where a team would need to wake up in the morning and go, how do I improve my model today? It's not the same as me training it to detect a car going past, and then the training's done. It's something you'd continuously work on as a product.
That's the thing. Like I know there's at least one AI engineer here today. And there'll probably be more through the night. And there's got to be a bunch of people watching that want an interesting challenge like this. Reach out, help out. This is UTS Startups Confessions. So let's squeeze in a couple of confessions. If you could go back 4 years and tell yourself something, what would you say to Sean down the camera?
Don't launch an in-store retail experience product right before lockdowns when COVID's starting. That's probably one big one.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And I think the other big one would be I should have gotten started running a business again sooner.
Yeah.
Product management for me didn't scratch the itch the same way that I thought it was going to when I started working for other startups, and being back in the driver's seat, like thinking about the strategy every day, being able to manage it and grow a team and hire amazing people, one of whom's here in the audience today. That is just so fulfilling to be able to drive that kind of change and lead such amazing people. I just wish I'd got back to this sooner. Can
I poke into that a bit more? Just because everyone rabbits on about we need more product managers and they're hard to find and blah, blah, blah. But you can throw a stick in here and hit half a dozen entrepreneurs. But you're saying being an entrepreneur was more enjoyable, more rewarding. So I think there's 2 points there. One was when I was an entrepreneur to start with,
like 15 years ago, I didn't quite know what my skill set was. People talk about being T-shaped. I didn't have that bottom level. So I went away and worked on a technical skill set for a number of years, working for other people and converting that kind of high-level product mindset I'd had as an entrepreneur into a very distinct skill set about how to actually build a product with a team and run delivery. So it's very different coming as a skill set of going deep into that one piece. And I think everybody should have something that they're good at as a founder. But also, product management in this country is just, you never know what you're going to get when you walk into a company. I have not yet figured out how to ask in an interview process as a candidate the right questions to figure out how they treat their product managers and what they want to do. Whether you're going to be primarily running delivery, whether you're running strategy and you're not involved in delivery, or any combination of in between. For me, I think a product manager and the ethos that we want to keep internally, a product manager should have that kind of commercial output. Like, they should be focused on, how does my product not only drive value for a customer, but value for the business, and be thinking about how the support team is going to support their product, how the sales team is going to sell their product. And I think a lot of that gets missed at most companies, that you've got to bring all of these pieces together. So I always felt like I was only using half of what I could do.
Okay, good. It's nice to have you back in full
Great to be
swing.
back.
And being back now in that kind of role, how has it changed you as a person? How do you look at yourself today differently?
I guess I'm just incredibly grateful to be able to, work with such a great team, to be growing such a great team. I'm now managing more people than I ever have at any previous role. So I'm starting to think a lot more about the systems and the incentives of what we do. We recently restructured the entire dev team because the dev team just grew. So my contribution has become more about thinking about breaking it down into squads and thinking about how people are going to get aligned to their work than it is about, hey, I need to get this next task done. So for me, that growth in mindset of just, how do I set up the structures and the systems is incredibly rewarding.
Okay.
And then, of course, I've still got to get my hands dirty because we're a startup. But
Okay, and I'm sure you'll be hiring some poor product manager soon into some nebulous description of a PD. But for now, it's just nice to see how well things are going and the kind of trajectory this is on. I look forward to walking past security cameras and feeling a lot more secure in the world that I'm in UTS and places like it. And we'll leave the link in the description for people to reach out and find more, and especially any AI learning engineer people that can help with that as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, I will say quickly, we run these sessions every Friday at 3:30 at UTS Startups at Central. And as you know, we have the best pizza in Central or anywhere that I've ever had pizza, thanks to Amazon Web Services. The best part of the night comes now, where we turn off the camera and go to private Q&A. So for anyone watching at home, thank you for watching. Come join us and we'll see you here. But for now, join me in thanking Sean.